Let's take a quick look at formulas, which really are just sentences in math, and it's something that we all have always been doing. For instance, on paper in school, if you are writing a formula to put together two things, two of one thing and two of another thing, you would write it out on one line as 2 plus sign, 2, and an equal sign. It's really similar in spreadsheets. With spreadsheets, the big difference is as we start the math sentence with the equal sign, equal, and then the rest of the sentence we write just like we would have if it were on paper, equals 2 plus 2. When we type it in the spreadsheet this way, that equal sign lets the spreadsheet know, hey, there's an equation coming. Hey, there's a formula coming. Hey, there's some math coming. And it knows to do some type of calculation with whatever comes next. That equal sign is a trigger. And the minute that you finish your equation and you move to another cell, or you hit the enter key on the keyboard, that equation, it's still there, but it shows you the result. Let's look at some very common equations or calculations that we would do and how we would write that formula in on paper and how we would type it in a spreadsheet. If you want to add things together, we use the plus sign and we would write it 2 plus 2 equals, for an example. When we're using spreadsheets, you're going to use the plus key on your keyboard. That's the one next to the backspace button if you're on a Windows computer. And we would type it in a cell, starting with the equal sign, the number, plus sign, and another number. If we want to subtract one number from another, when we write it out on paper, we use the minus sign, and we write the number minus another number equal sign. Very close in a spreadsheet. We won't call it a minus key on the keyboard. It's actually the hyphen key or the dash key on your keyboard. You might have one. If you have an extra long keyboard, you'll actually have two. Both of them work the same. Look for the key on your keyboard with the dash. It's usually next to the equal key. And you will type it in the spreadsheet, starting with the equal sign, and then your number, minus sign, or the dash, and your next number. Now, for multiplication, it's a little different. We commonly use an X to signify multiplying, as in 5 times or x5 equals. On a spreadsheet, instead, we are going to use the asterisk symbol. This symbol is usually, almost always, on the 8 key, on the number 8 key, and you would hold down Shift and press the number 8 to get this symbol. And in the spreadsheet, it would look like this, equal 5 asterisk 5. For division, definitely different. We often use a division sign, or we'll use a bracket, and we might write it out on paper as 9 divided sign 3. Although we do use this in writing as well, but in the spreadsheet and with your keyboard, you're going to use the slash key. And this key is next to your shift key on the bottom, or the second to the bottom row of your keys on your keyboard. And the formula looks like this in your spreadsheet. You start with the equals as always, 9, then the slash, and then the number that you want to divide by. Now let's add some expenses here. First, I'm going to put some space between expense and total. Let's put income back in there. See, I noticed I click in the formula bar so I can add more words. Hit enter. I want a blank space above expense. So we're going to put a blank row up there. I'm going to put my mouse cursor over the row number that I want to work with. Right mouse click on the right side of the mouse. I get a menu of choices that I can use to change the structure of the spreadsheet. I want to add a row above. So now I'm just going to normal click, left click on that menu. And now I have a nice blank row above expense. Under expense, let's add some details under expense. A good budget should have details so you understand what the numbers mean and what they're doing and what to change. So under expense, let's add rent. That's a good detail to add. Oops, I'm going to backspace it. I want my 2 spaces again, just for formatting so it looks nice. You don't have to do it. Hit enter when I'm done. Now I'm going to move to the cell next to rent and type in a number. Let's say 1,000 and hit enter. We'll use some nice round numbers. Couple of things. I don't need this expense up here now because we're going to move it below. So I'm going to delete that. In fact, let's put we want to structure the expense section the same way as income. So I'm going to insert another row. Here I'm going to click on rent. That's the row I want to work with. Right mouse click, insert a row below. And in this cell, I'm going to type in total expense. So you hit the spacebar 3 times that time. 1, 2, 3. And type in total expense. Hit enter. I want to add some more expenses besides rent though. So I'm going to need to put some more rows in here. I'm going to click on the row I want to work with, rent. I'm going to right mouse click, get my menu. I'm going to select, I want to insert a row below. Let's just do some more while we're at it. I want 4 more rows. Right mouse click. I'm going to click insert row below. Now a way we can do it, we can select more than 1 row at a time. If I move my mouse over the row number, click and hold, don't let go of the button, and move down over the row numbers until I have all the row numbers I want. I just want these 2. Now I'm going to let go of the mouse button. Those rows are both selected because they are highlighted in blue. That means these are active. Whatever I do next is going to happen to these 2 rows. I'm going to go back like we did before. Move over the row number. Even though my mouse cursor, the cursor looks different now. It looks like a hand. It's still the mouse working its mouse thing. I'm going to move over the 8, right mouse click again like we did before. And where I want to insert 2 rows below, before it said insert a row below. Now it knows I have 2 selected, so it's telling me, okay, you want 2 rows below? And I do. So I'm going to select that, click it, and now I've added 2 rows at a time. But you don't have to do it that way. You could just do it 1 at a time. No shame in that game either. We're going to click in the cell and type in some more expense types. Let's type in 2 spaces, utilities, hit enter, 2 spaces, groceries, hit enter, 2 spaces, entertainment, hit enter. What else do we want to add? 2 spaces, transportation, oops, hit enter. All right, this budget is shaping up to make sense. Let's add some numbers in here that we can add up. Let's keep them even numbers so we can make sure everything is looking right. After we've made sure everything is looking right, in real life, like if you had real numbers, you can put your real numbers in, but that's a good tip, strategy. Test out your calculations, make sure they're working right by just adding numbers that may not make sense, but are just round numbers, so you can eyeball and see if your calculations look right. So we'll add 200 for entertainment and transportation. Let's just add 100. Okay, so we have some numbers, some round numbers in here. These could be real life. They might not be, but we're just using this as a check. Let's put a formula in the total expense cell. We start our formulas, as always, with the equal sign. So we tap the equal key. Again, Sheets has put in some things in the cell trying to help us out, trying to guess what we'll need. And what it's put in here is a function called sum and some cell addresses. We will come back to that. Right now, I want us to look at what the formula actually looks like when we do it by hand. So we're going to ignore this that's in the cell, and we're going to click on the first number we want to work with. That's the rent. What do we want to do with it? We want to add it to the next number. So we're going to press the plus key. Remember, you got to hold the shift down on that equal key. I have a plus sign in the formula. I'm going to click on the next number I want to add. Okay, what do we want to do next? We want to add another number. So I'm going to put a plus sign and click the next number. What do we want to do? We want to add the plus sign. This is what we would do if we were writing this on a line in real life. I'm going to shift plus to get that plus sign and add the last number. No more plus signs. This formula is done. We're not doing anything else to it. I had the last number. That means we're done. We're going to hit enter. And it has total added everything up. 1,000 plus 500, 1,500 plus 300, 1,800 plus 200, 2,000 plus 100 would be 2,100. And that's what we have, 2,100.